welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mulus on the forum.
This is Parker, go by Dr. Mantis DeBoggan, MD on forums.
This is Jeremy. The forums have driven me to, I just play Elden Ring now.
Yeah.
I'll do my best guessing for Marvel Crisis, but I'm out. I'm out.
Out. You just play Elden Ring now?
Yep.
Well, in my protest of the forums, I've just changed my forum name to a silhouette of myself. That way everyone knows what's happening.
What you've been.
Yeah, I'm just an outline of myself online now.
What you've just been like atomized. The blast of dumb has. You're just like a shadow on the background.
No, I took a picture of myself in a dynamic pose, and then I just I covered myself with black in Photoshop, and I was like, yep, that's good. They'll know it's me.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, let's get to announcements. Parker, we're down to 935 more episodes of your probation. So stop doing all those prohibited things.
Feeling good about it.
Parker, you owe Jeremy 11 pizza rolls, and you're not allowed to say pineapple blade, asterisk, or antiquing. And a new word that I've just made up that will mark with this asterisk.
What, you made up a word? Or you made it up the next...
He made up a word. Good luck with that.
And the word was word. So now that Parker has said the... No, I'm just kidding. Like, no! But in all seriousness, yeah, so there's a new secret word that Parker's not allowed to say, and if he does, he gets more probationary episodes. Mm-hmm. That's all I got for announcements. Parker, do you have anything for us?
I got news. All right. So finally, after the longest drought, we have but a drop of new model information.
I actually looked it up. It's only been 375 decades since we've had news.
Yes.
So we've broken the streak.
Mm-hmm. So we finally have some news. And the news is but a silhouette, literally, of actual news. Because it's a silhouetted picture of two new models coming to the game. We were pretty darn awesome on this podcast. Last time we got silhouetted, it was for Madam Viper and Sin. We got it nail on the head. So this one, they purposely, I think, obfuscated it. It's hard to tell precisely what these are, but we got pretty strong guesses. So for those of you who have not yet seen it, it's a picture of what looks to be two potentially female characters, and the only other clue we have is there's a bunch of stars in the background, like a cosmic background, and we see Thanos' chair from his set when you buy him, the big Thanos throne. And so the two models that we're looking at, one of them has like an energy field that kind of snakes around her. She's kind of had her hands outstretched, using probably some sort of psychic ability. The tagline on the picture is called "Minds will never be the same," which means probably a psychic manipulator. And there's another character who looks to be gripping something, maybe crushing it, and she has her hand down on her side. We're not sure what she's doing with the other hand, but she has some long, like almost tassel-like things coming off the back of her. So for those of you who do not know, there are a couple characters that fit these things to the bill, and so right now the community is floating around a couple ideas. The character with the large snake-like creature around it is most likely Moondragon. Moondragon is a cosmic character, is often associated with the Guardians of the Galaxy. She was a part of Infinity Watch for a long time.
Yeah.
Her dad is Drax. For those of you who don't know, her dad is actually Drax.
So personally, I think it's Moondragon based on the picture. I'd be very surprised if it's not Moondragon.
The other possibility for her could be a psychic character from Black Order called Supergiant. Supergiant does have a similar silhouette, but she doesn't have the very iconic, energetic aura that looks like a giant snake. The thing about Moondragon is her psychic abilities literally manifest themselves in the physical universe in the form of a giant dragon. So not only is she powerful in the psychic plane, she can manifest this super psychic dragon thing, which it looks like the effect around her is that. So likely it is Moondragon. However, the other character you might expect to come with her would be Phyla Vell, her lover, and Captain Marvel, another member of Infinity Watch. She's done a bunch of different cosmic stuff, but this doesn't look like her silhouette at all. Instead, it looks like a member of Black Order, a character named Black Swan, which we've talked about a little bit on this podcast because she's shown up a bunch in modern cosmic Marvel events. And she's a member of Black Order. She used to be part of Doctor Doom's cosmic entourage when he was posing as a god, Rabo Malal. and then she got intertwined with the Marvel superheroes and eventually ended up working for Thanos in the Black Order. And that's a current Marvel universe. That's what she still does. She's a member of the Black Order.
And that's Supergiant, correct?
So no, that's Black Swan is her name.
Black Swan.
Yeah. Supergiant is a psychic character on the Black Order, and she actually is dead. She was killed.
Okay.
Yeah, she was killed by Lockjaw, of all creatures. Teleported her to another planet when it blew up, and what actually remains of her is her psychic essence, but she doesn't really have a giant, energy dragon. So this looks like it might be a villain and hero pair pack. If these two characters come together, it's probably Black Swan and Moondragon is what we're thinking right now, and likely coming out at a similar time or maybe near that would be their partners with the remainder of Black Order, which would be Supergiant and Phyla-Vell, the consort for Moondragon. We'd probably see both of them join the Guardians because both of them are members of the Guardians of the Galaxy currently. So Guardians and Black Order looks like what they're expanding.
Yeah, I think it's based on the artwork I'm looking up online right now. I think Black Swan makes a decent amount of sense. Based on the picture, I would guess that what she's got in her hand there is some combination of like a sword and a shield, but I'm not sure. I don't know if Black Swan commonly uses weapons. I would assume not.
No, she uses force fields and like energy projection. Her big thing is her force fields are very impenetrable. Kind of like an Invisible Woman kind of character, but she doesn't go invisible.
Yeah. With the silhouette, it looks like she's squeezing like a soft drink that's exploding.
That's exactly.
Like,
it looks like she's got a Slurpee.
Like a Sonic cup, and she's like, die! And squishing it. It looks really silly, but obviously it's a silhouette, so it's hard to tell. But if she's got like energy manipulation or telekinetic force manipulation, that could very easily be she's manifesting shapes and stuff with her hands, and that could make sense.
Yeah.
But also she's got the ribbons coming off of her, which Black Swan has a lot of the time in the comics. It looks like.
Yeah, she is almost always done with those nearly it's like Mr. Sinister ribbons, only just not nearly as many of them.
Yeah, there's just 4 of them instead of 400.
Right.
Yeah, I would guess definitely Black Swan and Moondragon. Jeremy, do you have a thought on these?
No, both of those characters I don't know anything about. What I am certain of, though, is they better not be connected with more than 7 microns thick plastic. Because everything they've made recently, it seems like, is connected with a toe or a ribbon or a wrist.
One shoelace.
Yeah, or
shoelace.
Or a puff of smoke in the case of 3 Ninjas.
It's so silly.
Yeah,
so
it's really strange.
I was joking with Spence that the Shinobi guys are standing on the belt ribbon of one of the other Shinobis.
Yeah, they are.
It's like
ridiculous.
Oh, by the way, who else is going to be drawing their 3 Ninjas Shinobi as the 3 Ninjas from the classic 90s movie 3 Ninjas? I am definitely.
Is that not who they are? I just assumed that was them.
I'm going to be doing. These are the adults. Yeah, these are the adult 3 Ninjas. One will be orange, one will be blue, one will be green. Yeah, I'm gonna do like
Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Reptile.
There you go. I like that too. And
then they'll be like a team.
Mm-hmm. But I'm actually super duper excited for these two. I'm actually really really pumped for these.
Are you on the page of you think it's Moondragon and Black Swan?
Yes, I'm 100%. I let's bet some demerits if you want, but I'm thinking it's...
Well, I was going to say, I'm 95% sure it's those two.
I'm 99% sure. And the reason why is, at first I was thinking, at the first glance I had when I was at work when this thing popped up, I went, oh, cool, Supergiant. But then after I take a look at the model again, I realized the big obvious dragon, snaky serpent thing going around her body. I was like, oh, that's Moondragon, because she always has that snaky serpent thing.
So the issue I'm having right now, and this is one of those where we try and glean insight into what other games are doing. Marvel, it looks like Marvel Future Fight has recently announced they're releasing Supergiant and Black Swan at the same time. And I'm looking at it, and Supergiant looks like she's a bald alien-looking creature with a cape that's fits the body structure really well of what it could be. Because if they were going to do Moondragon, I would imagine we would know more about like Infinity Watch or something coming, which is entirely possible because isn't the Nova movie happening where we're expecting Adam Warlock to show up?
No, that's Guardians. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is that just the next Guardians?
Yeah, because at the end of Guardians 2, that's who's in the pod that she's like, I'm making.
Yeah, I remember that. I just couldn't remember what he was supposed to be in next.
I think the big assumption is Guardians. The next Guardians movie is featuring
the
Adam
Guardians
Warlock.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so originally, was it Black Swan was the Rabumalol servant person?
Yeah,
she was the one.
Black Swan was the one who served Doctor Doom when no one knew it was Doctor Doom doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my original train of thought was, well, that makes sense because we're kind of expecting the Fantastic Four to be coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we expect Doom to come out when that happens. And so, Black Swan around the same time as Doom wouldn't be that surprising. But then at the same time, now that if it's just Black Swan and Supergiant instead of Black Swan and Moondragon, then it would make sense to lead more in the Doctor Doom direction. But if it's going to be Moondragon and Black Swan, I would imagine we're going to go more into an Infinity Watch kind of destination. And so I think it could really be either. I'm leaning more towards Supergiant because of the silhouette they put it on. Because it's in front of the Thanos throne.
Yeah.
It screams Black Order, and Supergiant and Black Swan both being Black Order members, that would make a lot of sense.
It seems that was my first inclination. If this is not a serpent and it's just some gunk a la Scarlet Witch's model, then I'm not going to be shocked. But man, I just wish I could see the bottom of the model to see if it's a dragon head at the bottom, because then it's really obvious.
Think it is. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's just energy.
Yeah. If it's just energy, Supergiant seems like a really obvious one. They haven't done villain and hero pairs very often, right? It's usually
they do. There's Loki and Thor, there's Killmonger and Black Panther, there's Enchantress and Angela, there's Ronan and Drax.
Yeah.
There's Daredevil and Bullseye, Punisher and Taskmaster, Gamora and Nebula, arguably, even though that Nebula has a redemption arc.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so they've set a precedent.
There's a surprising amount. Yeah, there's a surprising amount of Sabretooth, Wolverine, Mystique, and Beast.
Yeah. So there's a surprising amount of, even like Mystique and Beast is a good example of, they're not really arch nemesis, but they are on the two sides of a common fight usually. So this would not be so strange for this to be Moondragon. I don't think that's Phyla-Vell at all in any way. I think it's Black Swan super obviously, and then probably
it's definitely not Phyla-Vell. I don't know who said it was Phyla-Vell, but they're dead wrong.
Right. So it's definitely Black Swan, and probably, I still think it's probably Moondragon. But if it was Supergiant, I would not be shocked. I wouldn't. Okay, it's not a dragon. It's just some energy. Cool.
Zooming way in, like, there's some ripples that could be like fins and stuff, but there is no detail on that.
Yeah.
Going as far down as we can see. It's possible that it's a dragon, but man, I really don't think it is.
Yeah.
It would have to be the skinniest snake dragon I've ever even heard of. Yeah, no, it's not a dragon. It's just energy.
Okay. Well, if you think it's just energy, then that is Supergiant.
Yeah. Because if you look at it, it comes out from behind the what's it called? The background there, and you start seeing the black silhouette. It comes up, and there's like the ripples that could be like a fin on the back, but it's still like there's no orientation to it really, and it just kind of curves there. And then there's not any more for a long time. And then the section where it curls up near her hand is like a full 90-degree elbow. And, like, that doesn't make sense. And it wouldn't be, like, wrapping around her hand like that. The fins wouldn't be where they are if it was supposed to be an animal. I think it's her doing, like, a force field type thing. Or, like, swirling energy.
My favorite troll post on the internet is Emma Frost and Professor X. because
the troll post,
because now it's really funny because the Black Swan maybe Emma Frost, and the fact that the other one just is bald that's it. Like it's just...
you can't objectively say that it's not, other than it's a ridiculous statement.
Yeah.
It's like, well, technically it could be. It's like, yeah, I know. Did you ever see those? You remember? Everyone remembers watching the old Pokemon show on TV. When it went to commercial, it would be like, "Who's that Pokemon?" It would show you the silhouette, and you had till the commercials were over to guess who it was.
Right.
And it was, but they redid them to be as infuriating as possible. And so they show you what would obviously like Dugtrio, and then it's an Execute with a rock in front of it. And you're like, no, it's Dugtrio! Like, people would just lose their minds because it was like one of those little like internet quizzes, and it's like, what? No, it's like then like Pikachu is like fucking the Cubone holding a stick, and you're like, what?
One of my
he's holding a lightning rod in his hand. You're like, get out of here, you fucking stupid idiot.
One of the ones I like was it was obviously a Geodude, and they go, "What Pokemon is this?" And it shows them up, and it's just a Pikachu being terribly misshapen. Like it's just
into a Geodude shape.
It goes, "It's a Pikachu." It's like, what?
Yeah.
Just terrible.
Yeah, those the fake ones were great.
Yeah,
they were great. Anyway, so this could be Professor X being mangled by a washing machine into the shape of another person, but obviously it is not.
Yeah.
It's Universe 791 Professor Xavier when he could levitate, and that was his only power. All right, so I think I'm gonna lean towards it's Super Giant, and because it's not a dragon, it doesn't mean it's not Moondragon. But I'm leaning towards Super Giant at the moment because they went out of their way to make this very Black Order inspired.
It also means that they don't have to make any more. If it's this, then you're just expanding Black Order, and you're not also promising to expand Guardians, which is less likely. Not that the Guardians couldn't use another one, but they don't need another one like Black Order might. So
yeah. Cool. Jeremy, are you excited about this at all? Does Black Order getting new members make you at all more excited about Black Order?
Only if other members change, then it would be exciting. If these new models give it some teeth and some interest,
then the Thanos nerf won't feel so bad.
I'm tired of the Baby Huey wielding a machine gun effect. I'm like, just stop, just please stop. But whatever. If it is Black Order and Thanos gets a little bit of a Nerf bat hit on him, I'm happy for that. Great, grand.
Yeah.
What, really? You think they're going to nerf Thanos in order to make Black Order?
No, the problem is Thanos is such an outlier that he needs to be nerfed anyway. But nerfing Thanos would make Black Order harder to play because they don't have their fucking crutch dragging them to the finish line anymore. And so giving them more options would be a good way to fix that problem.
I see.
To where Thanos is an option, and then you could run the 6 non-Thanos models in Black Order, and you would have more ability to do stuff. Because his leadership really isn't important, and all their tactics cards work without him. And so it's really just that he's the best board controller we've ever seen, which is why it's he breaks games. And so, which I think obviously the change that needs to happen is Cosmic Portal needs to be restricted in some way on how many times you can use it, either by increasing its cost or making it once per turn. Because as is, his ability to manipulate the board is way too high.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about these guys. It also shows that because the Black Order are one of the older affiliations in the game right now, because they came out right after Guardians, right?
Really?
It was basically Wakandans, Asgard, Guardians, Black Order. It was one of the first 4 expansions from the core set. And so seeing them get some more love would be good. We're expecting probably some more for Wakandans soon, because the new Black Panther movie is coming out. That could be really cool. So this looks like good stuff. I'm excited to see if we're going to go in more of an Infinity Watch direction and do more of the cosmic stuff, or if we're going to do more of the Earthbound stuff with Fantastic Four. That's going to be interesting.
I would love to see Wakanda with another leadership of have Shuri have the leadership, some sort of thing, just directly reflecting the new movie. That would be sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. Alrighty, well, that's going to get us out of the news. Jeremy, have you played some games this week?
I have.
Were they good games?
They're interesting games. So I've kind of gotten this. My weekly gaming is go to the store, play a couple games, and then go over to Aaron's place, one of our locals. It's not really local. He lives like an hour away. But
he lives out in Missouri, like where
yeah,
like you do.
He's got a really nice gaming space, and we're able to kind of knock out some games real quick. So I think we played 3 games, and he's kind of doing a thing where he's trying to use grunts kind of in his list and see what happens. And yeah, so the games we played, I've seen some things with grunts, and
we'll talk more about grunts.
Yeah,
later,
I played some games. I won a few, lost a few, whatever. I'm still playing Wakanda and X-Men. The one thing I will say about it is, it's Wakanda, X-Men, and then there's a Thanos drop for the things that you just can't do well, which would be Hulk or She-Hulk, basically, or Black Order. Any of those.
Just rub Thanos onto your problem area until
absolutely.
problem alleviates.
Absolutely. And basically, the list I'm running, honestly, like, I never get put in a corner. Like, I feel like I always have an option, and I usually, at the end of the game, I can kind of spot my errors and say I could have played better, which is all I've ever wanted from this game. Like, I find the attrition lists and trying to grind it out and stuff was just making me insane. But this build it hasn't let me down. I've let myself down a few times, but this list hasn't let me down.
I think X-Men are in a really good place right now with their new releases combined with their old efficient models.
Yep.
They're in a really good place now. They've got more options and they can synergize with new stuff.
I have a question. You said you're dropping in like Thanos for like something that your list can't deal with. Yeah. Is it actually better then to just have Thanos in your list all the time? When are you like, oh man, I'm so glad I didn't take Thanos? Is that ever a thing that crosses your mind?
Depends on the mission selection, I believe.
It depends on mission, and it also depends on what you're doing. If you're going super wide on me, Thanos doesn't do anything. But if I see that you have a 6-point flagpole model or tentpole model, Thanos can deal with that. Usually,
for example, if you get paired up against A-Force on Gamma or on Senators or something, then obviously dropping in Thanos can almost completely nullify a She-Hulk out of the game. And so it's a very different game when your opponent can't leverage those strong pieces against you.
Mm-hmm. But, the answer, honestly, is most of the time Thanos is the better answer to most things just because of how egregious he is. But I still love playing the game. Like, my game isn't to play Thanos and win. I know, again, if I lose a game and I've got Thanos in my list, I probably lost it because of me, not because of the list. But he's not my favorite thing to do with Marvel Crisis. But there is some models. Again, Hulk is one of them. She-Hulk is another. There's a few other outliers that Magneto is another one. Like, things that are just really difficult to kind of one-shot or take off the table in a turn. Because X-Men can do a lot of damage. Wakanda can push shit around. But the list kind of can't really take stuff off the table in one go. So if I see something like that, then I put Thanos in there. That way I can kind of control them away from me while I deal with the rest of the army. That's the idea. And again, this is my tournament list. Like, this is the list I want to go and actually win with. Me and Brandon Shelley played a game the other day, and I told him, I said, look, I'm not going to play Thanos, so don't worry about it. So, of course, he played Hulk on me.
I remember this game. And he's like, this son of a bitch has Hulk.
Yeah. So, it just...
and you didn't have your Thanos safety blanket to keep him away from you.
I did not.
I fucking watched that game.
Yeah, I didn't have any answers, and Hulk basically pummeled my army. And that's not to say, like, he didn't play good or anything. He played great. It was fine. He did all the right things. But, yeah, Hulk beat the shit out of me, which I had guessed. And not having the model that I need caused me trouble. There's other ways to do it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not smart enough. I'm like, here's Thanos. How about that? Like, it's fine. I don't have to always like figure out 27 moves ahead in a chess tournament. Like, I'm like, how about I just use a hammer on a nail? Like, fuck it, right? So that's what that list is about.
Cool. Well, I haven't gotten to actually play any games lately, but I did watch about 5 minutes of a game, so it's like the same thing. I watched other Brandon and Aaron play a game where they were basically just doing like Rochambeau in the middle. I don't know. It was Gamma Wave. And I saw there was a Hulk, a Doctor Strange, a Thanos.
Jesus Christ.
And what was the other model? Black Dwarf? I can't remember. Maybe it was like Hulkbuster. It was a just mosh pit in the middle of the table. It was like in this, like the size of a CD sitting on the table, there was 12 points of models. I was like, guys, you need to calm the fuck down. And so they were like, yeah, this is getting out of hand pretty quick.
Royal Rumble style.
Jesus Christ, guys.
Who was playing Thanos?
I think it was Aaron.
Okay.
And then, because Brandon had Hulk and Strange. Yeah, I think it was playing Defenders or something. Yeah, it was a mess. Yeah, there was nothing else. All the terrain was gone because Hulk was there. Mm-hmm. So it was just like this 18-inch circle where there's basically nothing, but everything that was basically touching each other right in the middle. It was like a bullseye. I was like, oh, so this is where all the dead people are. It was pretty cool. But yeah, so I haven't actually gotten to play lately because we've been working on the store remodel. Hopefully not this week, but next week I'll get back to playing games. Parker, I believe you've played games?
Yep. So I set out to play Shield, and what I played was Nick Fury. And Shield, I'm being facetious. I did play him in the Shield affiliation, but Shield is a weird cookie. It's weird,
fickle beast.
Yeah, it's a weird to build. It's kind of weird to play because they kind of want to go wide in order to take advantage of one half of the recovery mechanic, but they also would really like to have priority, and they have like a great model in She-Hulk that I think does a lot of stuff for the list, but she is exactly the opposite of going to get value out of the ability. She already has aggressive, right? She already has aggressive. It would be interesting, I guess, if somebody tried to push her away with the attack and then she aggressive twice. So it's not completely impossible to go off, but it's not what you want to give the model aggressive because they don't have it, right? But she already has it.
There's also potentially a weird interaction if you do the pseudo aggressive twice. Because if there is like an angle you can't get to because you're supposed to advance towards them, right? You can advance past them in one direction and then slingshot back over the top of them coming back the other direction.
Right.
So you can actually end up farther away from them than you started.
Wait, can you? I thought towards them means... I thought towards them
right,
means
so you walk past them and end in base contact, but you don't have to advance your full advance. And so you just go just enough to get to the other side of them and then walk full back the other direction.
Hold on, how does that count?
Because now that you're past them, towards them is the direction you came from.
Yeah, but you're not
separate moves.
But as soon as you move over the center of their base,
no, that's not how you're no longer moving in this game.
It's not how
Think of Webline. Think of Webline. Towards, they go over your base. Once you determine the direction, that's just the direction. And now we're moving in that direction. Yeah. So you're not prevented from moving past them.
Yeah.
Like in War Machine, you had to stop once you made contact because you were no longer moving towards them. Because the distance was no longer being reduced.
Right. So, but She-Hulk you're literally, losing, functionally 4 victory points if you're behind, right? Because she's only going to get dazed once as opposed to 2 other characters getting dazed twice. So
I heard down through the grapevine that you got a lot of scenario points off of your leadership.
So my game against Aaron, the one game I had with Shield so far, it was very one-sided. Like Aaron and I both, at the end of it, like, well, I got diced. My first 8 attack rolls, 7 of them had 0 hits, crits, or wilds.
Yeah.
0 hits, crits, or wilds. It wasn't even like he defended them well. I didn't roll any. And see, his defense dice also showed up a bunch later in the game. So I didn't have any dice advantage the entire game. So because of that, his Juggernaut one-shotted my character who had the Senators, and then I couldn't down him just because I couldn't conjure enough attack dice against Juggernaut. and Juggernaut just basically kept the extract until the win of the game.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Nick Fury's leadership. Like how did that interact?
So, because I was behind the entire game, every single time he was dicing me really hard, because he was dicing me constantly, I kept getting victory points. So, by turn 3, I was only down 3 victory points, even though I had only scored 1 secure and never scored an extract. I was only down by 3 on turn 3. So it was actually really interesting that it totally kept me in the game. If on turn 3, or rather on turn 4, I could have seen some lucky things like got Juggernaut down, take the Senator back, won one of the positional things, then the game was mine again totally. So the shield affiliation ability to come back on those victory points when you're losing in the early turns is a real thing. I did go pretty wide with my list. I purposely put all 3s and 2s with Fury, and I was losing to dice, but I wasn't losing the scenario game. The game should have been like
a complete route.
It should have been 2-16, but it ended up finishing up like 10-16, almost entirely on Fury's leadership. So
obviously you keep saying that you had bad RNG, which is whatever, but in the strategy portion of the game, do you think that the leadership is strong enough to keep you relevant in a lot of games, or is it only good if you're getting completely blown
out? Would you mean like are you saying like if you take
obviously this was an exceptional game because you were so behind,
right?
In a normal game, do you think you'd be able to get? Is the leadership still going to be impactful if you're not getting completely blown out? You think it's still going to be relevant?
Yeah.
Yes. You're just playing a normal game back and forth.
Because I think it's not, because I think it's scaling, right? It moves with your advantage. Yeah. So if he was only winning by 2, I would have gotten to tie him, right? Really fast. Mm-hmm. So it's not that I wouldn't have gotten it. It's just that I happened to get a ton of VPs off of it that game because I was so behind all the time, because it was just my dice never complied. And so it turned a game that we should have like re-racked after turn 3. It turned it into a game. Yeah. Like that's what it was. Okay. So and that was a comeback mechanic, but the mechanic would have still worked if I had knocked down Juggernaut and picked up the extract, and he was continuing to win on the secures, which he was, because he was purposely trying to make sure his secures were won. So if I had gotten the extract, I would have been in a really good place, really excellent place. Right. And then a lot of his stuff that knocked me off the points would have actually I've been able to aggressive back on for a power. So there would have been lots of opportunities to come back in that game, even with my really bad early turns, if I could have made it, if any of my things would have worked around turn 3. So long story short, I think Shield as a team affiliation is going to keep you in the game in the early turns. It's up to you to close it out, but you're not going to get just completely rolled. It's not going to feel like that. I felt like I was totally in it still, which was cool.
Did you play Agent Widow at all?
That game, yes. I wanted to see Agent Widow and Fury on the board for precisely like shenanigans with Eye in the Sky, where you're just constantly having to like deal with who you're attacking and the person moving away. Agent Widow was probably the best on the board. She did great. She felt really good. But the one thing that Fury didn't get to do was deal with the extract, because it was Senators. On turn 1, I had priority, so I went up and checked 2 of them, and I lost the coin.
Sure. No, I get that.
So
again,
I never got to.
You got bad RNG. I get it. But I was mostly talking about her possibility to get control points. Did you find that that was an option?
That was another.
Did that actually come up relevant?
Yep, it was another part of the game. It was another reason why I got so many VPs by the end of the game, is she popped it twice, I think. Once on Strange, and she didn't. The game ended before she could do it on Daredevil, but she was about to.
She was about to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was completely relevant as well. So I
like the strange interactions. Let's say you have an odd number of points, and so on the first turn of the game, you go to down 3-2. Well, then Nick Fury can get you a control point during round 2 to tie it, and then Agent Widow can get you an extra point at the end of the turn. So even though you actually ended down 3-2, you effectively were up 4-3. It just doesn't take effect until the next turn. And
Right.
so I was just wondering if you could basically do that 3 or 4 times in a game and end up actually getting a huge advantage on a lot of points in a close game.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that's not off the table, and so that's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
The main thing I learned is I really wanted priority to do good things with extracts, because Fury wants to get there to manipulate extracts well, but I didn't have that because I was going wide. So going wide was helping me in the victory point game, which is keeping me in it. But I would have really liked to have a She-Hulk. I would have really liked to have priority. So right now I'm trying to decide, is Shield shooting itself in the foot because they have contradictory rules, or are they just tactically flexible and I can choose what I want to do every game, which is probably just good, right? So
They seem surprisingly flexible to me so far, but I don't think they have the best stable of characters. They just have a good stable of characters. So we'll have to see if that changes anytime soon, because I know we've speculated they might get some more people. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and move on. Hobby projects, what we're currently working on. What's on my plate right now is I need to build all the terrain for our new tables we're going to be having soon. I have not gotten to start that yet, but hopefully this weekend I'll get some time. You guys working on anything important? Jeremy, I've heard your current model project is Elden Ring.
Yeah, it's going really well.
Yeah.
I have all my painting stuff there. It's been sitting there since February 15th, I believe.
Is that the release date?
Something like that. Yeah, it's in February. But but I did throw some paint on Strange and also Rogue. But my process of just getting things done really quickly and being done with it is, this Elden Ring project is pretty extreme. It's taking a lot of energy.
Trying to 100% Breath of the Wild, and it's really putting a damper on my painting time. Parker, I've heard that you don't currently own models you want to play.
Yeah, so my model project, we're mostly trying to find people's models that they'll let me borrow. But I only want bad ones, so that's good.
Only bad ones.
I only want bad ones. But I actually, right now, it's Fury and Daredevil are in a head-to-head race to see who I will paint come summertime. Next time I get to do Sunday Paint Day with Brandon, one of them.
Are you busy this weekend?
I haven't looked, but almost definitely, but it's possible.
I really want to do. I need some motivation to work on these fucking terrain kits. So if you are free this weekend, let me know. Even if it's not Sunday, just let me know, and we can. Or Jeremy, if you want to schedule some time to come over and paint, I need to get a lot of this terrain knocked out so I can get it to John to get painted. Yeah, the remodel has eaten more of my off days than I expected. And I've only had 2 days off in the last 2 weeks where I've been in town, almost 3 weeks actually, and so I haven't had any time to mess with that stuff. But hopefully soon.
When do you get time to play Elden Ring?
I don't play Elden Ring. I don't own a device that plays Elden Ring, to my knowledge, unless it's on computer.
It's on computer.
Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, I'm not actually really big into those. I blame it on ADHD, but like Oblivion and all those games, I'm like, yeah, I get like 20 hours in, I'm like, so why am I playing this again? Like, there's no end in sight. I'm like, it's kind of cool, but like, it's just too much. I don't have the level of free time to put into video games like that, and so they're just not appealing to me. But if I had the free time, like, I bet I would love playing Fallout 3 and all those old games and like Oblivion and stuff. I bet I would fucking love it. But like, I don't. I dedicate way too much of my time to community building and stuff like that, so I can't just get 12 hours on my own doing something very often, and when I do, it needs to be on my shit, like painting.
Well, so anyway, From Software comes out with a game, I'm in. Like, that's the only game company I like when it comes to like actually taking my time and stealing it. I give it to them. That's about it, though.
Which company did you say?
It's From Software.
From Software.
Yeah, it's the Souls games, all those.
Okay. I remember, was it Bethesda used to be one of the big ones everyone used to like look out for?
Yep.
But a lot of those companies like churn over people so quickly nowadays because they get like, hired away to go run other projects and stuff. So like there's really not a company anymore that's been really great over a long period at this point because
Rockstar
get cannibalized.
Rockstar Games, yeah,
that's the Grand Theft Auto guys.
yep.
Right?
Rockstar Games is the hot one.
Red Dead.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that they did that too. That makes sense.
They've only like made good games. Like they're known for that.
Yeah, that's good. I heard Red Dead Redemption 2 sold a few copies.
A couple.
Some people played that, I think.
Yeah.
I think I looked that one up. It cost like $400 million to make it. Like, are you
I bet that game was
kidding?
fucking enormous.
Yeah.
Well, they did try to make like the whole West. That's what they tried to do.
Look,
what
it
game
was
did
just
you make?
the
We
United
made the Wild
States.
West. You're like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, it's you can go out there. It's like that rock is actually there if you go out to like fucking Montana or wherever the fuck they are.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, we just walked around. We got that car that drives and does the Google Map pictures. Like, no, we just drove around out in the wilderness. Yeah. We had to map the whole wilderness.
Really my brother said, it was summertime when that came out or something like that, and he said, I've just been in the wilderness for like 17 hours. I went, what do you mean the wilderness? He goes, I went up to like the northern part of the map in the mountains, and I just didn't come down.
I was like, I now live here.
I just became a mountain man. That's all I did.
You'll grow a beard and everything.
I just hunted things and hung out in like nooks and crannies, and that's what I did. I was like, that sounds campsite. Yep. He said that's all I did. I was like, that is fantastic.
Yeah, I remember I watched Max like fight a bear one day. I was like, Jesus Christ, why are there bears? Yeah. He's like, I'm up in the mountains. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, a game is good whenever you go into certain places. You're like, shit, I fucking hate going here because of the fucking bears. Like,
yeah,
feels like real life.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our main topic. Unfortunately, I won't be able to contribute very much in this, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. We're going to talk about grunts. Did I say grunts?
Can you see how many thumbs down I have?
Grunts.
Thumbs.
No, why are you thumbs downing? I don't get it.
Go ahead. How about you talk about what you learned from your game first?
Well, Parker played with grunts.
You played
against
with
grunts too. Yeah.
He played with grunts though, so he had a far superior time than you.
Yeah.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Fantastic time.
What happened, Parker?
Well, I've decided that there is specifically Nick Fury's grunt, in shield or out of shield. That grunt is really dumb. If you get the nice flip or the turn, or if you pick up a legacy virus cure with it, and it is not hard for that to just be yours for the rest of the game. It doesn't even matter that there's a grunt on the center of the board. Aaron and I did some math after our game, and had the grunt flipped over the senator, he did not have a model that could have gotten it if he would have killed the grunt with another model. Like, it wasn't. I think Juggernaut was the only one fast enough, and where he put him, he wasn't actually capable of doing it.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have had power to get it once he got there.
Right. So it was such a, like, if that grunt picks up something on the center of the table, it's just kind of yours. What's funny about it, and I guess the reason why I'm not crying foul is, and maybe y'all find out I'm wrong, but I haven't actually seen which kind of mission it breaks. It's just excellent at making sure a secure is likely going to be yours, because I don't know if that breaks the game, because it's still subject to a bunch of RNG. Like, you have to flip over the senator, or you have to roll the crit, or you got the book or the legacy virus cure, and you now have definitely that one is more secure for you. Sorry, no pun intended, as an extract, but. But I'm actually that's what I stared for 2 hours after our game, been like, okay, so if this thing is so good at making sure extracts are coming to you, which one do you actually want? And I could make a case for all of them. I guess that's what I'm saying, is he's good at extracts, but that doesn't necessarily break the game. So what do you hate about grunts, Jeremy?
Everything. Just say everything.
Well, first off, did you attack 6 times with Nick Fury? Because them motherfuckers can attack 6 times, by the way.
Well, that's actually. What do you mean 6 times? You mean 4 times?
They attack twice. Fury attacks, they attack. Fury attacks, they attack.
Oh, you're talking about that's something only Daredevil ninjas do.
No, your guys do it.
No, they don't.
Nick's ability causes it to happen. Look at his his spender.
No, it's his spender. Yeah, his spender does.
It's only 3 power, but yeah.
Yeah,
So for 6
Spinner
power,
does.
you're attacking
I
6
didn't-
times with 1 activation, essentially.
He also has a ranged gainer, so he gets a decent amount of power.
So that's not even the broken part. That's just kind of a fun side note.
After attack is resolved, an allied shield characters with 3 that may advance short towards the target, and then the shield agents may make a pistol's attack. But he also has his passive Director of Shield is
they get a reroll.
They get a reroll, and he gains a power when they deal damage or suffer damage.
Mm-hmm.
So saying that he could do his spender twice in a turn is not unlikely at all.
No. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he can do. Whereas we understand as a group think, rapid fire is pretty good. Okay,
right.
It's 4 dice, so he gets rerolls. He gets a shitload of small attacks.
Except he's doing a 7-die attack.
Yeah,
and Grunt's doing a 5-die attack because they have a reroll.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big deal. But that's a 4-point model doing work. Okay, I can understand that. That's all right. Where it starts to break, and I don't like it, and nobody should, is when you start mixing them in with other affiliations and other things. Namely, Convocation. That ring every turn is not cool. It is not cool, and it's 100% doable. So Convocation uses their astral ring. They get to use their defense for physical attacks and turn them into mystic, and they can all use their mystic defense. And they get it back if someone is dazed or killed, basically.
No, you're thinking of a different card. You're
one?
thinking of the Ironbound books.
That's it. Ironbound books. Yeah. Yes, I had the wrong card.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah, no. They can do so. It's Ironbound books every turn. And
if the ninjas are getting KO'd, yeah.
Yeah, because when an allied character is KO'd after the effect is resolved, I mean, you can kill them yourself if you really care.
Yeah, the ninjas can die. And the thing is you kill them. You have to. Like, you can't let these guys run about. You have to kill them.
I would agree, especially with the way that it works with interacting with objectives and stuff.
Also, this is going to happen in the future. They can't... the future proofing of this shenanigans of, like, Researcher, where they get to count.
Yeah.
Because it's an extract.
It's not a secure objective.
That's nonsense. So my problem with the grunts actually isn't any of these specifically. It's the fact that all of this stuff with every card that comes out, everything that's new, everything that's old, has to now have a way to interact or not interact with grunts. And the fact that they just reoccur. They're just a reoccurring thing. Whether we've never had that in the game before. There's never been a reoccurring element. That's just, it's gone.
I generally am very against reoccurring stuff in games. It almost exclusively causes problems. So the issue I've had with grunts to this point, and I have zero interaction with them on the table so far. I haven't played a game with them. I haven't played against them yet.
Yeah.
Is that it seems like they're bending over backwards to create every possible exception for them so that they can call them characters.
Yeah,
I feel like it would have been way better to have just a different model type called grunts, and the only thing that they do is what it says they do. Because calling them a character opens up all these fucking doorways for weird shit to happen, just like the Researcher, just like triggering Sam's leadership, Thanos' leadership, the books, all that stuff. It should have never happened because they never should have been classified as characters.
We did. They errated Sam's leadership, right? They said that
they did, but exactly my point. They had to errata a model that's fairly recent so that they could print these.
Right.
That's already not great from a release type perspective.
By the way,
now I don't think it's terrible yet. I'm just saying that it seems like a headache that we're going through all these hoops just to create these things that I know some people wanted, like the generic minion models, but I don't think the vast majority of people did.
B-dubs, I put Punisher and Winter Soldier in my Daredevil list I'm going to be playing tomorrow night because Punisher gets tokens when the ninjas die, and you can trigger Winter Soldier's extra attack off of a grunt death, and like those two things are going to happen a whole lot, or Daredevil just gets to eat people. So
so perfect example for anyone who's played War Machine before. They had these things called lesser warlocks, and lesser warlocks were the equivalent of because in this game, your leader model was called a warlock or a warcaster, depending on which version of the game you were playing. And so a warlock / warcaster was your leader model. If they died, you lost the game. And so but they're also mainly your only spellcasters in the game. They're very important models. So when they did the lesser versions, they have a rule on their card called lesser warlock / lesser warcaster. And the first sentence is, this model is not a warlock or warcaster. However, they are treated as such for targeting and casting spells. And so they could have done a similar thing where it's like, Grunt, this model is not a character, but may be targeted as if it was a character. And so anything that says choose an allied character, when an allied character, if an allied character, the number of contesting healthy characters, none of that shit would trigger. They would just be stat lines on the table. I think that would have been a better way to approach it. But again, I have very little experience with them so far, so I don't have a personal opinion at this point. I'm just saying that I think that might have been a better, based on what I've been seeing people say, I think that might have been a better idea.
And I also will say that right now, both of them seem like super premium 4 points to spend in the game. Like, if you want to do damage and have a really stout model that's going to be doing a bunch of damage, Daredevil seems great. If you want a model that probably can do damage, it's a little bit, I don't think it'll be quite as reliable, but it's going to do some damage and has the ability to just hardcore do wonderful with some extracts, than Fury. And neither of them really have to play their affiliation in order to make any of that stuff happen. I think both of them are like 4.75 point cards. They are not. They feel like 4 3/4.
They seem very impacting for a 4-pointer.
Right.
And it's not saying that they're going to break the game or
Nope.
they're going to make the game unfun for certain people or anything. I just think that we're in that danger zone kind of when what's a good example? Like when the Infinity Stones came out. We are in kind of this weird spot where it's like, well, we're definitely pushing the limits of what is okay and what's not okay. And we're going to have to kind of let the meta settle in and see how it falls out before we decide if anything needs to get fixed or not. But yeah, currently I'm a little concerned.
Could I think these two guys kind of, especially Fury, I think they feel kind of like MODOK right now, or old MODOK, where you're just like, this can't be a 5-point character. This is definitely more than 5 points. It's not a 6-point character, but damn it if it's not more than 5.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys both feel like. They feel like more than 4.
The thing I do like about how they did this is that grunt rules are in the main rulebook, which is a living document. So at any time they can go in and tweak those things to make it better or worse, to make it fit the game better. So I think that was a good call. As far as printing cards and making things like good or bad in that way, I don't like the shield agents and the ninjas cards, because why the fuck are they not just tactics card sized? Why are they tarot card sized? That's so weird. Stupid. It's so weird. It doesn't make sense because you see the card in person and it's enormous and there's like no info on it. There's fucking 2 lines of text on it. Like, fuck off. Like, this should have been a tactics card. It's very annoying. So yeah, it takes up too much space on the table. It doesn't look right on the table because there's no other examples of it. It's very weird. And then the second thing I didn't like is the shield agent's ability buy you time, where they get to place the objective. I think that's going to be the most frustrating fucking rule in the game. Like, it's like a 7-inch difference in where the fucking objective is.
It's really far.
It's so far. Yeah. And in the realm of importance of placement on the board, it is so game impacting. Like, it changes the game so much. Yeah. I really hope this is not a precedent of things to come, and there's not more of this shit coming, because it's so frustrating to just have like things that you cannot prevent from happening, like this, where it's like, oh, you've picked up the token. Well, there's nothing I can do now because the objective is too far away from my models to physically get to, even if I kill you. That's dumb. There's no interaction. You can't like pay power to prevent it. You can't like, stop him from doing it in any way by preventing him to having power. You can't even like try and drain his power to prevent him from doing it. It's dumb. Yeah, I really don't like that ability. They could have given him anything else. They could have given him Pierce on their attacks. I would have been more happy with it.
See, I kind of like those effects that are like that. I don't mind that half as much as I mind, like I was saying, the convocation effect of kind of having something infinitely for no cost, that's normally has a normal cost. Things that use the reoccurring model effect are a real problem. Like I just don't like that.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Bob already existed in the game. Like, it's not you could pay 2 points to have a model that you feel you shouldn't ignore, but it's just going to come back to life. And people were not playing Bob for his recurring effect, even though it was that strong.
Yeah, but Bob was 2 points. They're free.
No, they're not free. They cost 4 points out of faction.
Oh, no.
More than Bob.
Daredevil is amazing. Fury is pretty damn good.
Well, I don't think Bob is
was
just
not good.
And this is exactly why they did it the way they did it, is because you can't have a small investment and have grunts. You have to have a serious investment to get grunts.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they did it that way. But yeah, I see where you guys are going with this. And I tend to agree with Parker that these are not free investments. You can't build a good synergistic list and then spend 2 points on a grunt. It's a 4-point investment, and if you want to argue that the models are worth 4 points, I'm not going to disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably better than 4-point models on the regular, but you can't just invest. So token investment level, it takes a lot.
I will also go ahead.
The problem I have with future game balance for grunts is that, generally speaking, in games, when you want to try and target nerf something, you throw in something that directly preys on the thing that's causing the problem. So, like, perfect example would be Thanos' leadership in this case. Thanos' leadership saying, well, I'm going to get an extra victory point every time I kill this idiot. Okay, well, this is a problem, but when you see that, because of the nature of how list selection works, you can just not play your grunts against that leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no counterplay then. Like in those other games, you don't have like a sideboard you can just not use. Like if your opponent's playing a swarm army and you just take something that gets bonuses when they kill things, you're set. But what happens when they change their list after they've seen you have the counter? They're like, oh, well, shit. Like that's where I'm like, well, this isn't great long term.
Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused. You think that's not
I don't know how you
game?
Counter them because... Yeah, you walk up against like the guy who's running Thanos, and you're just like, okay, I don't play Nick Fury, and they're like, oh, well, shit.
Well, it was not that, but I actually think it's the opposite, because we just got done talking about how strong Thanos is in general, and if he I'm
just using him as a blanket example of a model that directly counters. I'm not saying Thanos specifically. I'm just saying if they print a model that's the equivalent of Thanos' leadership without paying 8 points for a good Thanos, then you just don't play Nick Fury in your squad, and you have to deal with them having the counter. Does that make sense?
I guess, but that's still... I think that's good, right? It's good that your opponent can bring a model that's really, really good against an oppressive model. We all agree. For some reason, the meta all agrees that Nick Fury's horribly oppressive.
I think you're getting caught on the fact that I use Thanos as the example.
No, I'm not. Like, I'm putting that away for a moment. There's some other effect in the game, but I can drop meta choices in my list, right? People do. I do right now. So I don't think it's a...
The problem is that if we go to print the guy that, let's say, new model gets made and he completely screws people that play grunts in some way, and you're playing a list that includes Nick Fury and or Daredevil, and you're abusing grunts in some way. Now we're in the situation of this model is probably not good except for the fact that he defeats grunts, or else we just get into power creep, where it's like if you release a model that's already good first points and punishes people who play grunts, they're just the best model in the game. So the model is generally weaker than it should be because it punishes a specific thing. And so we get paired up, and Parker's playing Nick Fury, and I have the guy who punishes grunts. And so now we're just in list chicken. Because if Parker plays Nick Fury and I play the guy, Parker is punished. If I play the guy and Parker doesn't play Nick Fury, I am punished. And so we get into this weird loop of it's just list chicken.
Well, what I have seen right now in the game is there's already a lot of characters that do what you're describing. They are strong, and that they also would do well against grunts. X-23 was a good example, because she could just spend 2 to attack again. Carnage would love to be able to attack again after killing a grunt and getting all of his health back.
Yeah, but those models are...
Angela can attack again and move. Like, there's tons of models in the game right now that are just fine by themselves and also benefit from having a grunt around. And I think if grunts become more prevalent, you might see Angela dropping into Guardians more often. You might see people making sure they have Carnage in their list if they really, really like to fight and they need a 4-point drop. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of that because none of those models are bad without grunts. They're just they are strong against grunts.
I would like to respond with, I think Carnage would be good against grunts. The other models I don't think are good against grunts because you're spending power to attack the grunt and then get the other stuff. And so, like, Angela goes in, swings into the grunt, has to pay to use her assassin ability, which has now been used its once per turn. And now you can go back to what you would have done if there was no grunt there. Like, Carnage gets to heal to full, which is a different conversation because he's actually gaining something. Mm-hmm. Angel's getting the same number of attacks she would have gotten if there was no grunt there.
But no, she functionally gains an attack because she spends 2 power and gets to do another attack.
I'm arguing that she doesn't functionally gain the attack because she's forced to attack a grunt that shouldn't be there. Because there are grunts now.
Well, it's not like she gets to do 3 attacks every turn. She always gets to do 2 attacks, but she will likely have a 3rd attack because the grunt is there.
Yeah, but the 3rd grunt is into the grunt, which is either an irrelevant attack that you're only using because it's there, and because you don't usually actually care to kill the grunt, you're trying to kill the parent character. And so you're spending an attack that you're on a grunt that is basically, barring like specific scenario situations, is a worthless attack. Because the grunt is not the important model that you're trying to defeat.
We just agreed.
You would never, in a vacuum, choose to attack a grunt when you had something better to do.
But we just agreed. No, absolutely not. I think it's absolutely wrong to not spend a X-23 basic attack because you get the power back because they have 2 health. You immediately spend it to do an extra attack and a move. You gained a move during your turn and you didn't lose an attack. Now, if the character next to you is Daredevil on 1 health, then yeah, get Daredevil instead. But because if you did it early, then the grunt doesn't get to do anything anyway. So of course there's more valuable things to do against a weakened parent character. But I think if we're comparing 2 characters, one of them only gets 2 actions, and one of them can spend 2 power that they're going to get back for killing the grunt to kill the grunt also. I think that means they're advantaged against grunts.
I think they're better against grunts than like a generic character, but I don't think they punish the grunt player.
Okay, there you go.
That's what I'm saying.
There you go.
Yeah,
I will agree with that.
They're better than nothing.
Yes.
But they're not to the point where you wouldn't play Nick Fury because your opponent has Angela. That's ridiculous.
Now I see your point because you were saying earlier that if I saw Angela, I would avoid Angela because I'm playing Nick Fury, and you're right. That would be bad.
Like that would never be true.
Like you would if you saw Carnage or Thanos.
Carnage is a different question because Carnage heals to full.
Right.
And Carnage is fast enough to get to the grunt if he's at all in a relevant position. Mm-hmm. And so if Carnage is taking a beating, you can just move him up and attack the grunt, have an almost assuredly one-shot, and then go back to full health, move and attack again, go back to where you were in the first place, and you've basically still made 2 actions, and that's valuable.
Right.
And so I don't know that it punishes the grunt player, but it adds some counterplay that wasn't there previously, to the point where I think you would actually consider sacking the grunt and moving him far away from Carnage. Mm-hmm. And so in that situation, I think we're bordering on that realm. But I think a lot of players would say Carnage isn't that good on his own. Mm-hmm. I disagree. I think Carnage is good.
Right.
But I'm talking about something saying like on the level of,
Thanos.
Punisher or really Thanos' leadership specifically. Something like that was just a passive ability. Mm-hmm. It's just like when a grunt is defeated, you score a victory point. Just on the card for free.
Right.
Like that would be a punishing model. And so that's when we get into this list chicken circle thing where it's okay, well, we deployed, Nick Fury has his grunt, blah, blah, blah. And in the situation where I'm not screwed, where we both took the stuff, you took Nick Fury and I took my counter model, then you could still just take the shield agent, run directly away from everybody. And I have to actually work to go get it, and then you just never resummon him. And so that was like the level it would have to be to do anything. And in that situation, we're like, all right, I just don't play Nick Fury. And you're like, okay, so now I've spent points on this model that doesn't do anything except punish grunts. And so now I'm trapped. Like, it's kind of annoying.
I think they might avoid that by just never making that character that just is anti-grunt and that's all they do. I don't think.
Well, that's why I'm saying that's where I started this conversation by saying I think it's hard to counterbalance, because when a normal game, if we're playing like War Machine or Guild Ball or Kill Team or something, I have a set list, and so if I feel like I play against this a lot, I can just put it in, and my opponent doesn't have the option to not play the thing I'm good against. And in this game, because we select squads at the beginning of the game and you get to know what your opponent's playing, you can just not play the things that they have counter models to. And I think it's good for tactical list building, but it's bad for printing models that directly counter other models. Like, for example, you would never play Wolverine when your opponent's showing he's going to play MODOK, right? Like, that's just a nightmare scenario that you're just walking into for nothing. And we've learned that over the years. And so, similar to that situation, I think it's really hard to counter these grunt-producing parent models. It almost has to be a nerf to fix them, because you can't just make a model that counters it, was my argument.
Okay, Jeremy, I'm going to... You've been quiet for a while. I'm going to ask you, do a little prediction. Do you think you're going to see grunts just everywhere very soon? Or do you think it will be one of those things that'll just kind of sleep? Or there's a lot of other things people are still excited about, so you just won't see grunts? What do you think?
I think it depends on scenario. I think if there's a center scenario that Nick Fury is super strong, instead of having to deal with, like, I'm going to drop an Amazing Spider-Man, or I'm going to drop, I don't know, any of those models that can grab it and back up kind of deal. I think being able to drop a grunt on that middle and just basically make it yours, because they can kill it, that's fine, but it drops it so damn far away. I think that's a legit move on probably a higher level. I don't know about the Daredevil one, that he's got some shenanigans, but it's not powerful shenanigans that, like, are gonna, I don't know, win games on a regular level. I do think Nick Fury's grunts, though, will. I think that's a really good solid drop in, and you'll probably see them a bunch. But some people like Wolverine, so I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. It's 4-point model. You do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We already had kind of a trick in the game. We had two characters that could, move up, grab a center point, and then keep it, right? Move back, and now you've got to take down that character. One of them is Amazing Spider-Man, who is a lot harder to get than Grunt. So that's interesting. That already existed. If you wanted to pay, if you were really excited about playing that kind of game, couldn't you just pay one more point for an
no, because you lose nothing. Like, the grunt dies, it drops in your backyard, you pick it up, you make a grunt again. Yeah. Like, you don't lose anything.
Just real quick, is there anyone that can daze the grunt and pick up the objective in the same turn on turn one? So let's say they use the shield agents, they double move forward, they find the objective in the middle. They are now holding objective range 1 away from the center point. Is there anyone that can get there, attack them, and pick it up? So I'm thinking of, is it like Proxima can?
I think it's
Quicksilver. Okay.
I think Quicksilver can, because you've got to move long twice is what you've got to do. So he can move long.
No. He has to daze the character first.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
I think I see where you're going.
So you move long, punch them, you daze them, that gives you 2 power to then do your special move and pick it up.
Speedster move. Yeah.
And you'd have 3 at that point, so you get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one, but Quicksilver has to daze them with a 4-die attack, and I know we like to joke about how easy to kill they are.
Yeah.
They're not that easy to kill.
Right.
Like, 4 dice is only averaging 2 hits, and that means 50% of the time almost you're going to get less than 2 hits.
Yes.
So
I have not dazed
that
grunts.
Doesn't kill them.
I've
never dazed a grunt in my entire... That's the other thing I'm talking about. Like, people are acting like it's free.
No.
I rolled a lot of 5-die attacks and gotten 0 hits. So they're like, yeah, Angela attacks the grunt. And you roll 1 hit and they're just like, wow, Angela's entire turn is killing 1 grunt. Good job, Angela. You fucking piece of shit.
I think the more common tactic for if that happens is going to be a web line or a bow type walk thing, dragging it into your lines, and then someone else is going to have to come get it. I don't think there's not too many that can do the other thing.
Yeah, so Quicksilver, it's possible, but I think it's kind of dicey, because Well, I guess as long as you get the 2 power, it's okay. I think Proxima is not bad because she can move long, energy spear throw, place within 1. Oh, actually, hold on.
She doesn't gain power.
But she doesn't spend any power, so she has the 1 she already had. The spear throw is after the attack is resolved, place within 1. So that doesn't work because the grunt's already dead and removed from play.
Yeah.
So she can't even place within 1. What about Amazing Spider-Man? Can he do it?
He probably has to roll like a
3.
wild.
So if he gets his momentum trigger, choose another enemy character within 2, that's not going to be the case. So that's no. I guess if you gave him an extra power, he could web swing, then punch at range 3, theoretically, and get there. Is there anyone else that you think could do it?
Let's see. I mean, even using silly stuff like places in X-Men, you still can't get there. You still can't do it. Like Juggernaut.
Yeah, because Beast also does it after the attack is resolved. So he can't do it. Maybe you could do
Hulk. Could Hulk move and can he move? No, he couldn't place and throw.
He can move twice and throw the fucker into your lines.
Yeah,
he could do that.
But I mean,
again, that doesn't fix the problem that you still have to be able to down them and pick it up in the same turn.
No,
because if not, they're just going to move and get it, and you're in the same spot you were in a second ago. You have to still kill the person.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
and
bad.
Now you're spending like 3 activations to get it from this fucking free grunt.
So, I mean, the answer is honestly, I feel like yes. I think Nick Fury has game in almost any list, like just for that. If the affiliation, if the scenario drops and there's a center extract, I don't know that there's a better choice. Like, it's so good. Other than playing chicken on the center, which is also fun, but...
Yeah. And so I was talking with Parker. I thought it was actually an interesting thought process to say, what if, like, you're doing senators, what if you just don't go on turn 1? Like you just either pass or activate somebody and don't check a point. Because your opponent has a 1 in 3 chance of finding the objective if they check for it. Which is the same odds they have as if you go on turn 1, but if they check and fail, you have a 100% chance of finding it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because you have both of them? You can do that?
Because you can check both.
Yeah, sure.
And so on Senators specifically, I think it's worth it to let your opponent go first, because there's only a 1 in 3 chance they find it. And if they go for it and miss, there's a 100% chance you find it.
And if they go for it and they get it, now your shit isn't separated across the field and out of position. So then just Fury and the Grunt go after whoever go after the extract, and once one of them gets it, then it's much more difficult.
If you like, what happened to Parker is he went for and got the 1 in 3 chance he didn't find it, and then his opponent immediately picks it up and knows exactly where it is, and Parker's already activated 2 of his models,
and then Fury and the minion were way out of position, so now they just become basically Daredevil. They have to just fight. And that's
as we're opposed to that, if you're playing the turn 1 reposition thing where you jump to the minion, and you know where it is, like they find it on the first turn, you just double move the minion and then drop Nick Fury on top of them, and then you just double tap them with Nick Fury, and the agent, if you do really well in the first attack, the agent might get to punch them as well, which would be pretty funny. Yeah, everything I can find that would move you is after the attack is resolved, and so Quicksilver seems like the only one that's actually really good at stealing it. Because also you could just play, if it's an asset token, you could play, can I borrow that and just steal it on turn 1 and not have to deal with they're going to drop it backwards. And then you could, if you've triggered the dash, you could just move backwards on your own. And you might not even kill the Grunt, which would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because you could just do 1, not kill the Grunt, and laugh at them.
That's actually one of the things that Aaron and I were talking about, is even if you manage to get more than 1 activation, or you did some weird Quicksilver thing, now whoever's got it is way on the other side of the field, like you're way across the midpoint, and the Nick Fury player still has the rest of his models, because that may have been his first or second activation, right? So it's not even like you now have it. Oh, good, Quicksilver is now way on the other side, totally by himself against the rest of the list, and maybe the rest of the list is She-Hulk, so you're like, well, shit. So yeah, it is not a done deal that you actually manage to undo the nonsense of that grunt. You're now on the other side of the field.
So I don't think we're to this point yet, but I wanted to talk about a hypothetical because I think this would be a good idea right now, at least, because we've all seen when new models come out and they're noticeably like game impacting, or they're just high aesthetic ratio. Like when Brotherhood first came out, Magneto was on every table for 3 months because everyone loves Magneto. And then when X-Men, same thing. Someone was playing X-Men every game. And then pretty much the same for all the new stuff at this point coming out. There's 12 people playing. Everyone's buying the new stuff. They all want to try it. They all want to see what it's like. So the volume of these models getting played is obviously very high because it's flavor of the month. And so, especially at this point, because we haven't had any releases for 3 fucking months. And so, flavor of the month releases, everyone's going to be playing them. And we know that grunts are really, really strong on centerline extracts. Mm-hmm. Should we stop playing centerline extracts in the meantime?
I know what I'm going to do.
I mean, obviously you're playing Nick Fury, so you have no choice. You're hammering the go harder button,
right?
Literally as hard as you can.
See if this works.
So I'm just curious now, because we can't play non-pay to flip secures because criminals are overpowered, and so we can't play the abusable extracts like herbs and legacy virus. And now we also can't play the single extract centerline ones because they're abusable by the grunt people. And so we're basically being slowly cornered into like the only safe missions you can play, which are basically core set missions.
Yeah. Basically you're playing a degenerate list or you're playing the super safe extracts, yeah.
Yeah. You are either the person causing the problem or you're trying to avoid the problem. Mm-hmm. Is how mission selection feels right now.
Yeah.
I know what I'm playing. Sinister Traps. Spider foes, sinister traps.
I think
it does get the grunt, right?
They need to drop like 4 new reds and 4 new blues on us, and just like mix it up. Like I don't know.
We desperately need more crises, I think, which is maybe what's coming in the card pack that we'll know about soon. So Sinister Traps says an allied character may play this card during the first power phase. Choose an objective. This only it doesn't actually work on the centerline objectives, because if they're running the they just go to the one you didn't pick.
Right. But if for some reason, like we're talking about the tag, like if you have priority, if you have priority, you probably didn't let Nick Fury have reds, but
yeah.
If you have, you might be able to work on 2 of them, right? The idea is one of them gets Sinister Traps and you check the other one is the idea.
Yeah.
So now it's got to be that one in the middle, or the grunt doesn't get to do what he wants. It's an idea.
Yeah.
Sinister Traps is pretty funny for the grunt. That is pretty funny.
Yeah. It does a thing, yo.
Wait, what do you mean he can't do what he wants?
Meaning
Parker.
The grunt only has one option, right? Because you're going to check one of the spots. And we're talking specifically about senators, right? Because if you got to roll a crit, it doesn't really matter. But for senators specifically, you're going to check one of them. You're going to Sinister Traps the other, and so now the grunt has to go for the third one you didn't put. Basically, you choose which one the grunt's going to go for. Is the idea? If you have priority,
kind of. Well, because you put them both offset on the in between 2 each. They trap one. Yeah, they're making the decision for you, but you're still checking.
Yeah. Yes, you get to check one for sure, but now you don't get to get a better outcome. Is the idea, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. And I don't know that grunts are going to be degenerate yet, but it definitely feels like they're at the top of that water slide. They haven't come down it yet, but it is a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's like the one that Frank goes down, where the water's turned off.
The water's turned off, and he gets like horrible like road rash on his slide.
That I fell off my seat on that scene where you just
oh my god,
because him and Charlie that's under construction. You can't go on that one yet. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. They go up the line anyway. Yeah. They get up there and the water's not turned on. He's like, all right, we should probably get some water. And he pulls out like Nestle water bottle.
The Nestle water bottle.
All right, you should be good now. He's like, all right. just goes front first down it.
God, that was
oh
awesome.
my god!
And I love
Gets to the bottom. There's a smoke cloud.
It's blood. They just like tons of blood just starts showing up on the slide, and he lands in the water, and the water starts turning red all around him.
And they're like, ah!
Oh my god!
All right. Oh boy, I love that show. All right. Okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Grunts? I think I've exhausted all of my points.
Yeah, I think we just we need to play them all. I'm going to play nothing but grunts against Jeremy, and we're going to find out if they're good.
Right. I do have a question for you, Brandon.
Oh god, here it comes.
No,
you can't get me. I'm ungettable.
I know. I'm not trying to get you. I just have a question.
That's what people who try and get people say.
No, listen. Everyone needs to hear this because apparently no one understands and knows how to do this. It's very simple. How do beams work? How do you use a beam?
Work? Oh, beams.
How do you use a beam?
Oh my god.
What is a beam?
Go to the rules forum. It's easy.
What is beam? How is beam?
Where is beam?
Why is beam?
Why is beam?
Why is beam? Oh boy. Yeah, there's a lot of bad wording in the beam section of the rulebook. I don't know if we have I don't know if I want to go into this right now. Let's make that a from the forums for next time.
Okay, because I got to tell you, every game I play now, the game's going differently. The game's going fine until a beam happens.
Someone uses a beam and then we throw our models away.
And it's like, seriously, it's like everyone on the team has rotten fruit and just starts throwing it at models. And you're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I'm actually really curious.
We don't talk about that rule.
I have purposely not looked at the nonsense that's appearing about the beam thing. So I'll be curious. You don't have to tell me now, but I'll be curious to learn more because I don't beam as a general rule.
You better not.
I just don't.
I don't beam as a general rule.
As a general rule, I just avoid it entirely.
Yeah, when the rules forum and people started getting crunchy with the game, there was a lot of questions about beams. I was like, I kept seeing them pop up on the rules forum. I was like, duh, just read the beam section, idiot. And I'm starting to think that they might have been onto something because I went down this rabbit hole. And there's a lot of fucked up situations where just weird stuff starts happening in the beams.
Neo appears.
And admittedly, it's not unless there's other rules that are triggering on the beams. It's only when you start mixing in other bullshit is the problem. So, yeah. So anyway, let's go on. Oh, something while we were talking about it, I'm pretty sure this is correct, but I've been terrified to ask because I think I've been doing this wrong.
Uh-oh.
Or just at least nobody has screwed me yet, which is really the more surprising thing. So models with rapid fire. If you bodyguard and the bodyguard's out of the rapid fire attack range, you just lose rapid fire, correct?
Yes, that's what
I thought, but nobody's ever done it to me, and there's been a lot of times where they just weren't paying attention. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, it's like, it's like, I'm going to shoot Scarlet Witch with Punisher, and he's like, okay. And then, like, I let go of the 4 dice, and then I look up and realize that Captain America's standing range 2 behind her, and they didn't bodyguard. I'm like, you're bad at this game. Like, I just don't even know what to say. It's like, I don't want to bring it up because I'm just hoping they don't know that, and then I can just keep shooting them.
Yep.
Yeah, that came up
anyway
pretty recently.
Yeah. By the way, bodyguard #1 ability in the game for my opponent to have because they never remember it.
They never remember they have
I really love my opponents having bodyguard. Every time they have it, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Who I was playing recently, but I was just like, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna attack this guy, and I like pick up my dice and I just kind of look at them, and they're like, look at me, and I look at them, and they look at me, and I look at them, they look at me, and I look at them, and they go, are you gonna roll your dice? I'm like, okay, and I let go of the dice. Like, that happened like 5 times in a row, and then the next turn he goes, oh, I had bodyguard. I'm like, what did you think I was doing? Do you think I have Alzheimer's? Like, what is happening? Like, come on. It's like, did you think I was just waiting here for no apparent reason?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, that's going to end our main topic today. Parker wants to share something with you guys. We told him he couldn't, but then he cried, and we felt really bad for him, so we told him he could talk to you about the comics.
I win.
Yeah.
So a comic corner today is going back in time. I've talked a lot about the conclusion to the Marvel Universe and the big reset they did with Battle World, and how Doctor Doom was one of the primary agents to rework everything. But one of the things I never stopped to do is to go back to the very first issue where they introduce all these world and universe collapsing problems. And so I'm going to showcase it's a new Avengers comic and the graphic novel, if you want to find it, is called Everything Dies. And it was the very first time that Jonathan Hickman had kind of the reins of the Avengers and, by extension, the Marvel Universe. Jonathan Hickman, if those of you never listened to podcasts before, I have a huge nerd boner for anything he touches because he's great at sci-fi. And basically, he's the one who starts to, in the Everything Dies graphic novel, which is a collection of some new Avengers titles, line out what will be the end of the Marvel Universe as it ended a couple years ago. The idea that the universes are collapsing in on each other, and there's different factions working to either eliminate Earths, because Earth seems to be like the conflux point where everything's collapsing. And so in this issue of the New Avengers, Everything Dies, Black Panther is actually the first person to discover on Earth 616 that one of these incursion events is happening. Another Earth has come, and guess who's bringing the Doomsday device but Black Swan. So I thought it would be appropriate to mention, if you don't know who Black Swan is, if you don't know how she got in the Marvel Universe, or exactly where we first met her, met her in Everything Dies. So the entire thing is, now as I read it, after having read just the like 18 different titles and just issue upon issue upon issue of the conclusion of this giant story that Hickman starts, it's kind of fun to come back to look at how it all started and how small, and what a great job he does at starting very, very small with these little bitty clues, but the clues all fit in perfectly to this giant reveal later. So I'm sorry, anybody listening to the podcast who now knows, if you listen to some of my other comic corners, you know how this story ends, but it's still worth the read and worth the look at how a really masterful writer takes a giant arc that's going to take a year of writing and multiple different storylines all moving together with different characters. He manages to orchestrate something pretty Machiavellian in this starts with New Avengers, Everything Dies, the end of the Marvel Universe. But if you want to know who Black Swan is, we get to meet her for the first time, and we learned a lot about her in this one, but not enough to find out all the things that are going on, which is the real awesome genius of this whole web that Hickman weaved for over a year in the Marvel Universe. So check it out.
Cool. Parker and Jeremy, you guys know a lot more about the comics than I do, and the exposure I have is mostly just people telling me about the storylines, kind of like what Parker just did, where he kind of summarizes like a storyline he's been reading that he's been enjoying, kind of like when someone tells you about a book they like. And so I just have had that over the last 15, 20 years, being around game stores so much. And I watched a lot of the animated shows and stuff like that. How common is it for like one random character to just show up in somebody else's storyline for like an issue and then like go away? Like, for example, like Punisher is like doing something, and then like Wolverine shows up. He's like, "Hey, bub, let's do this," and then they do it, and then he leaves. And like that was this issue. Like, is that pretty common?
Well,
or is it usually more overarching stuff where they're all doing something together for a long period of time?
Jeremy, feel free to just jump in.
I mean, I was into comics like 25 years ago, and it had to be very specific for someone to jump into someone else's book, basically. You had the ones that kind of ran around together and did things, but for the most part, X-Men were kind of X-Men. The bad guys would change, and Avengers were Avengers. Like, I don't know. They really didn't, but they would have, like a couple months where maybe Fantastic Four were helping out for some reason and, wrapping some shit up with Galactus or whatever. But for the most part, people didn't just poke their head in and say, hey, like that wasn't really...
So as an example, I remember watching the Fantastic Four cartoon, and like Spider-Man would show up for an episode and be like, hi guys, I'm Spider-Man. But it felt like cross-promotion more than anything.
Well, I mean, if you, like, a lot of the comics I have, the ones that would happen, it would be on the cover, and that would be the thing. Like, Spider-Man would have Punisher drop in, and it would be like a guest artist and a guest, and it would be a big deal. Like,
Okay.
But again, that's 25 years ago. I don't know what they do these days.
Gotcha. Well, I was just thinking that if like Iron Man ever teamed up with Silver Surfer, they would be alloys.
Jesus Christ.
That's how you get them. Fucking on the back end when they're not expecting it.
That whole thing was a setup?
No, I actually had that question.
Oh, okay.
I worked it into the joke.
Okay.
That was good. That was some comedy.
Jeremy's
genius.
legit upset that he got that hard.
Yeah.
I've been got
He's
that
like,
hard before.
you had me on the hook for 10 minutes. You just reel him in when you're ready.
And then of course I got alley-oop by Parker, who was like, go ahead. I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what I know.
Just handed
Motherfuckers.
I
don't trust either of you.
ran into the fucking wood chipper on your own.
I don't trust either of you.
He's like, that's not my bad.
Sons of bitches. Elden Ring never did that to me.
Yep.
Elden Ring never betrayed
It would never
me.
do that to me.
Wait, hold on. That's all it does, is set you up for success and then
all
fucking
Elden Ring
slap
does.
it down. Slap
That's
it down
true.
hard.
Murder
That's true.
you on fucking repeat.
Yeah. I will say that
Oh man.
in the classic, in kind of the classic comic book era, like not the super classic like the 60s, 50s and 60s, but I would say like 80s and 90s, the crossover was super, super important, but it was all about making money. It's like, can we get Wolverine and Spider-Man on the same cover so people will buy this shit? And it was always like a one-shot adventure. It very rarely was like weaved together into their plot lines. So that was back when, every other page had an ad and advertisement in it,
yeah.
and they were just trying desperately to make any amount of money because they're starving, just bleeding dollars every day. So crossovers were very much a gimmick to get people to read. Now, I think crossovers appear in the same way that like Disney Plus does crossovers, because they know if they interweave the stories, the universe gets bigger and more important. So now, like for example, this new Avengers comic, by like issue 2, it's not just Black Panther, but it's Iron Man and Black Bolt and Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange, and they're all in Captain America, and they're all there, and each one of their individual roles in the rest of the story will play out in the new Avengers series, but also in their individual series. So that kind of entanglement becomes really important in like post 2010 more modern storytelling in comics, because they're wanting all these stories to be entangled. By the way, it does make them money because it makes you feel like you need all of the issues to understand the story completely. So
what a tangled web they weave.
But unlike the original method, which was more like a we need to make money on this kind of smash and grab style, let's see how many people buy this crossover issue. Now it's, can we get them to read, a lot of different issues simultaneously, instead of one big crossover special.
All of that you just said, I couldn't hear anything after the word Blackagar
Alloys.
Boltagon.
Blackagar Boltagon. I thought you couldn't hear anything after Alloy.
Nothing. I've got
It's
nothing.
just circus
I've got
music,
nothing.
like 100 decibels in your
monkey clanking cymbals.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you had some fun listening to Jeremy's anguish live. This has been Brandon. I go by Boycott the Forums, #ThoughtCrimes.
And Parker, I go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan MD because I don't run from shit.
This is Jeremy. Please don't use beams in your games.
And this has been Parker is Grunting.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
We did it. We got another episode in the can.
Perfect.
Which is where Jeremy spends all of his time nowadays.
In the can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, how was your guys' week?
Oh, my kids' baseball stuff is starting, so that's kind
yeah?
of that's like a lot. They're like, "Hey, guess what? Meetings next week for coaches." I'm like, "Cool." So I go to the meeting. They're like, "Guess what? Practice starts Monday." I'm like, "What?"
What?
I'm like,
I
"What?"
thought we were.
Oh, yeah. So it's like all of a sudden a hurricane of stuff. Yeah. So pretty busy. But that's cool.
Did you
Baseball's a lot
have
of
they
fun
been
with
have they been
kids.
in baseball for a while?
Yeah, they started playing t-ball when I think they were like 4 or 5. We've done every year except the COVID year where the world was shut down. But yeah, we've played every year.
Nice.
They're actually getting, so they're 10, so they're actually getting like strong enough to throw a ball hard. Like we're playing catch and like Eli's throwing zingers and like I'm like, will you stop? Like you're throwing it too hard. Like quit it. But it's the first year they've actually been able to like throw the ball like hard and catch like crazy throws and just play baseball really.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're bringing Cecilia to swim lessons every Saturday, and the goal is, or her goal is, to do like swim team stuff. So I'm really excited about that. Literally, I am. Actually, I am. I am terrified. I have had so many middle school students, like young girls, decide they want to be, soccer players, and so they play on rec soccer leagues. And then, I get the email, bling, this student has a concussion. You cannot let them see, anything bright. They can't use their computer. And then, like 2 weeks later, bling, the student has a concussion again. Make sure that they are. And I had a student a couple of years ago that she got so many concussions her 8th grade year. They told her, you can't do anything anymore. And like, what do you mean anything? Like, you can barely, like, we don't even want you to get in a car. Like, you might die if you play any soccer or run quickly. And I know that was an extreme example because she had so many concussions, but I mean, she just played soccer. It wasn't like she was like, she wasn't boxing or for a living or anyway. Even in my very, very first game of volleyball I ever coached, game 1, second point, wham, girl gets hit in the head with the volleyball, has a concussion, straight up a concussion. And like, it's like, that's not even like, she just stood there and she's got a concussion. She wasn't even playing aggressively for the ball or something, just hit her in the head. So
I was watching stupid videos this morning, and there was a remembrance of there was one day a Major League Baseball hitter, I want to say he played for the Orioles, he hits a foul ball into the stands but came like right off the end of his bat, so it was coming in very quickly to like the closer stands, hits a woman directly in the face and breaks her nose. And so they stop the game, they rush medical crews over, they stop the bleeding as best they can, and they put her on a stretcher, and they're starting to take her up the stairs. And so they resume the game, and the guy hits another foul ball, and it hits her in the leg, breaking her knee while she's on the gurney going up the stairs.
That's
and
not
the guy
real.
just like dropped to, no, it's a real, you can look it up. This was like 20 years ago, and the organization like brought in her whole family for like a big meet and greet with all the players. They did everything they could to get her to not sue them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That runs. It's like that Scott Sterling. You ever see Scott Sterling? Oh, it's this funny a series of skits where Scott Sterling, the man, the myth, the legend, and like the very first one they did was he was a goalie, and it's to win the game. It's supposed to be like an NCAA game, and it's a shootout at the end of the game. And Scott Sterling is the goalie, and the guy shoots it as hard as he can, and it hits him directly in the side of the cheek, just like wham.
Yeah.
And but it bounces away, and like, oh my gosh, he took it with his face. Scott Sterling's amazing. And so he's kind of like, he's dazed. He's like, oh my gosh, but he's got to take another one, right? And so he's going to leave him in. He's going to leave him in. And he goes, he shoots him again, and he dives for it, and it hits him directly in the chin, and his head like whips back, and he's laying on the ground like, Scott Sterling is amazing, and he goes, and they got to go for the third kick, and so the ref comes over to like check on him, and he's just like unconscious on the ground. And so he like checks on him, he stands up and like gives a thumbs up and like comes back. and so now this is a full grown ass man just laying on the ground, and the guy comes up to kick it again, and he kicks it directly into his unconscious face, and so he just rolls over, and so it goes back to the other team. They get to kick a couple times, and it comes back to him, and it's Scott Sterling, and now he's just like black and blue, and they have him sitting in a lawn chair because he can't stand up anymore.
Oh my god!
And so it just keeps. They just keep kicking it directly into his face, and so
I saw that video.
It's they have several. They have several. It's the commentators that are screaming, what an amazing player Scott Sterling is. So after that one, they also did a volleyball one, and I think they also did a golf one, and it's all just him getting hit in the face with things. But it's the the animation and the action is pretty convincing and fun to watch.
Yeah, I saw that video. It was pretty good. I found the article. It's on Forbes. Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn hit a foul ball that struck a woman named Alice Ross squarely in the face, breaking her nose. During the game was paused. Medics rushed to attend Roth, and while they were carrying her away on a stretcher, play resumed. Ashburn fouled off the first pitch thrown to him after the pause, hitting her in the knee and breaking a bone.
God damn.
And then, quote, her grandson said to a reporter, there was blood everywhere.
Jesus.
That's crazy.
Fortunately, the Phillies treated the family to the royal treatment after the injuries were tended to, and the kids and the grandkids got free tickets and autographed baseball and a free tour of the dugout.
Well, they also get a free tour of the hospital. I mean, if that counts.
Yeah. This was a long time ago, it looks like. So this was probably before everyone got Sue happy.
Well, you probably it's probably a waiver by entering the stadium during those years. Like whatever happens.
Yeah.
At any rate, I'm glad Cece wants to swim. That's what I want for her. Please go swim. The only way to get hurt is to drown, and I think we can stop that. So go ahead.
That's a pretty catastrophic ending there.
Yeah. I'm less concerned about drowning than I am about concussions. Drowning, I can see coming. There's the lungs are pretty good at bouncing back if you can expel the water. Brain swelling, not so much.
Not so much with the brain swelling.
Not so much with the brain swelling. You lose the ability to do calculus.
The only problem with swimming is you need a pool. I'm a big fan of sports that they can practice without paying somebody. Oh God, please don't like hockey. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, no hockey, no ice skating is like a hobby. None of that. Like, no.
Well, it is nice. We have a pool the pool for our local rec league is 2 blocks from my house.
That's nice.
So buy them a season pass, and once they get on the team, if they get on the team, they get it out for free. They'll probably be working there anyway. So,
hey, we'll Jeremy, we get Hawaiian Bros a lot, but I was thinking the other day, is there any kind of rice you like more than the other kinds of rice? Like, do you like white or brown or fried?
If I were to pick my favorite rice would be like a basmati rice. What is the joke?
Basmati, cool. Well, I like white rice, so I guess that makes me a racist.
Yeah. You're not getting me now, motherfucker.
I think I had you for half the joke, and then you realized what was happening halfway through your answer. I think I forgot to do a joke last week, so we're going to have to do a bunch to make up for it.
Lucky. So here's some cool news. So on HBO, if I wanted to, I could watch Zack Snyder's remix of 4 hours. Then, if I thought I wasn't upset enough, I could then watch Batman, because that's now on HBO. I could just back to back all of it.
Yeah. And if we're counting all the times you have to take a break just to fucking catch your breath from all the horrible vomiting you're doing, then it's only 9 hours.
And, look, for all those people that are mad going, Batman's great, it's a great movie. Well, you might be wrong. Just check yourself.
You might be. Remember when I was like, yeah, I don't buy it, when you're like, it was really good.
It's, well, I feel like it needs Brad Pitt or something. Like, Batman just isn't enough. It's just not enough. My kids were like, yeah, Batman's on HBO. And I was like, yeah, Cool. We're not watching it. They've actually seen it twice at the theater. They conned their grandparents into taking them. Like, you guys are so rude.
Oh boy. Cool. Well, I guess as a small update, we've been remodeling our store, The Geekery, in Shawnee, Kansas, if any of our listeners are local. It's coming along quite well. Hopefully by the time this actually gets posted, it will be basically done. I think it's pretty cool.
They'll be offering free beer and hot dogs to order for the next
free
6
beer
months.
And hot dogs
for the next 6 months.
No, free beer for 6 months. That would be an expensive tab. But in all seriousness, on April 30th, we are doing a grand reopening. If you want to come and hang out, and we're doing a bunch of raffle giveaways. And so if you come up. Every time you play a game, you get a raffle ticket. And every time, or if you come up and work on models like assemble and paint, you get a raffle ticket. And then we're going to have a bunch of different drawings throughout the night. We're also giving away free pizza and free soda. So that will be a fun night.
Is that on Saturday?
Saturday the 30th.
Ooh.
So it's like 10 days from now. Not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is some really adorable news.
Oh, yeah?
So apparently the TSA purchased a large number of German Shepherds, Labrador Retrievers, German Short-Haired Pointers, and Belgian Malinois to beef up their canine security. This is not a lead-up for a joke. This is 100% true. And they were training them all to be able to do bomb retrieval and bombs. What are they, not retrieval, but bomb detection. Bomb detection and assailant. What do they call it? Subduction, or whatever it is. Anyway, a huge number of the puppies dropped out. Like, they couldn't get the regression up high enough. They just wouldn't attack the people or whatever. And so now they have this giant surplus of cute baby German Shepherd, Labrador Retrievers, German Short-Haired Pointers, and Belgian Malinois, and they're now trying to use the internet to get people to take them because they are like academy dropouts. And so they're posting all these like adorable pictures of dogs not doing what they're like puppies not doing what they're told, like being unwilling to attack people or unwilling to wear a giant harness or go sniff a bomb. It's pretty adorable. That's it. There's no joke. It's just something super cute that's happening.
Gee, I don't know, Parker. What will they do with the dogs?
Yeah, that's it. That's
the joke.
That's the whole thing.
Parker, I don't know if you know this, but I predicted the fall of the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was pretty obvious, though. There were a ton of red flags.
Nope.
I thought that was a cute one.
Nope.
Yep.
Jeremy even liked that one.
It's too soon.
Too soon.
It's too soon.
This is here's another one, kind of surreal. There is a guy who was about to be executed. They were trying to do old school electric chair stuff, and they asked him if he thought the electric chair would work better than lethal injection, and he said, "Well, I'll be shocked if it doesn't work."
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, is this what we're doing? Just all night with this?
This is all we're doing.
I can I have other.
You
things.
can play Elden Ring while you get tortured.
I'm thinking that that's probably a thing.
If an actual inmate would have said that to me before the electric chair, I think I'm required to let him free. if that's how he takes it.
There is an old timey password. if they manage to say it, they are required to let them free. Yeah. No one has yet to do it.
Did you know, Parker, that the first dog that died in space died of stress? Someone told it that space is a vacuum.
I like it.
All right, let's actually do a podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Parker, I expect your most on point guessery today.
Oh God, my favorite kind of episodes.
Even though I think it's super obvious, but we'll talk about it.
Oh no. Okay.
All right, are you guys ready? Do you want to say anything before we get started?
No. Do we ever pick a topic? Or did you design one?
Nope.
Okay.
Is that good?
I mean, we'll see, I guess.
Is there anything you wanted to say?
I guess we'll see what's going to happen here. Let's do it.
That is awful.
Yeah, that people will listen to that just based on the title.
Oh,
Parker, do you want to give us some grunts so we can put it into the intro?
Grunts.
Did he actually grunt? Because it cut out on my end.
Oh, really?
No.
I grunted.
Yeah,
times.
no, I didn't get
Did you?
anything.
No,
I think
three
it cut you out
Okay,
on purpose.
I kind of did like breathy grunts. Do we want like
Deep growly grunts.
deep growling grunts, like Nah, that sounds more like I'm like just I find something
Pooping.
distasteful.
Just poop. Just make your poop noises.
Yeah.
oh my God.
These are all making it in.
Perfect. Great. Can we wrap this up? This is getting.
Why? It's solid gold. Jeremy, are you fully staffed yet? Do you get to take like entire breaks?
I am finally fully staffed. I convinced people that I need to hire somebody, so they're actually going to let me hire an additional person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Turns out life has to get extreme for them to realize I'm not fucking with them.
Yeah. Did you just walk in covered in gasoline holding a box of matches and you're like, let's do this?
The equivalent.
Go.
The equivalent.
Jeremy is ready.
The equivalent to that is, hey guys, I'm not doing this like this anymore. I don't know what you're going to do about it, but I know what I'm going to do about it. And they're like, whoa. Hold on. So yeah,
I don't know how many days you think it is before I snap, and I don't know either, but I know how many it's not. Which is 10. You're like, ooh. Jeremy brought a chainsaw to work. Maybe we should hire somebody.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
When I play all my cards, it's like I'm all in.
Yeah.
So they definitely made me play all their cards.
Yeah. I like that about you, Jeremy. You don't do things by halves.
You got to nuke it from orbit. That's the only way to be sure.
I actually did have a question for you, an actual serious question. Do you still have all your drone stuff?
Yeah.
How stable are they, and how good is the camera?
Oh no. So the Phantoms are really good and really stable. I don't have any of that anymore. I just
so you got rid of like your big stuff.
Yeah, I just have the racing drones. I just have those. But no, the Phantoms are really good and really stable.
So the racing drones are only good at high speeds. They don't like hover very well.
Correct. They don't hover for shit. No. They move forward very fast.
How like for shit is it? Like better than someone holding an iPhone, or
it's way better because it's a mechanical gimbal, so you don't get any vibration or anything, man. That thing is stable as a rock.
And that's the Phantoms, or that's your racing drone?
The Phantom.
Okay.
The racing drones aren't good for any of the footage. They're not good for shit.
Okay. I was just thinking I wanted to do like a walkthrough video, and I was thinking something like a drone might be good, but I can also just put my tripod on a cart and push it around. So
the fun thing to do is if you knew anyone in the actual community, I'm not one of them, but they have the mini drones that are real tiny with cameras on it. They could fly around the whole fucking store and do laps and shit and take you a really cool.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is have someone do like a dynamic fly through kind of thing.
Yeah, they have tiny drones that do that, and people are really like good at it. I am not one of them.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up then, unless you guys want to talk about anything else. This will be a little bit of a short episode, but we didn't have a lot to talk about.
Deal. I mean, we don't want to disappoint those in Gurney.
Yeah.
Guernsey.
Guernsey.
Damn it, I've offended them again.
Guernsey.
A gurney is something
this is Patreon content. People need to pay good money for it.
A gurney is what they did to that poor woman who got smacked in the face by two baseballs.
They strapped her down to a fucking gurney
baseballs
so she wouldn't fall down the stairs, and then she got struck by a baseball and broke her fucking knee.
Over and over again.
How shitty of a day you would be having. You got hit in the face by a baseball to the point where they had to put you on a stretcher. They strapped you down and tried to stop the bleeding out of your face. And then while you're strapped down, not looking at what's happening, you get struck by another baseball in the knee.
Oh my God.
Yep. That would be the shittiest afternoon
So that
ever.
reminds me, like, did you ever see the movie Magnolia? Like, it's a really old. Well, it talks about random events that are real, and it's like these random things are random, but they're real.
Actually happens.
Yeah. And one of them, they show a helicopter scooping up water from a lake and to put on a forest fire. Well, they scooped the water up from a lake, go over the forest fire, and drop the water, and there was a dude scuba diving. So the dude's flying into the fire.
What?
Yeah. So,
oh boy,
yeah.
That would have been also a shitty afternoon.
Yeah, so there was several.
So
events
how
like
did
that.
Bill burn to death while scuba diving?
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting story.
Yeah, so there's several things in
Holy
Magnolia at the
shit.
beginning that are that kind of thing, which are just, oh my god, I'll never forget that one. The dude's
I would love to imagine he just falls out of the net and he's just like flipping them the bird on his way down.
Oh,
like,
man.
you guys.
Yep.
Oh boy,
That is awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
fucking amazing.
Pulled up a scuba diver with a helicopter.
And dropped him into a forest.
Into a fire. Yeah.
Oh
Spare,
boy, that's a good one.
spare a thought for that poor asshole. Man.
I mean, if you're going to be in a fire, I would imagine one of the types of clothing you would like to be wearing is a wetsuit, but
But not
He was also
fucking.
dropped
You just
from,
got
like,
sucked up.
100
There's
It
no
might
way
be
you have
extremely
like.
flammable,
You know,
but I
there's
think
no
they're
way you know
mostly
which
rubber.
way is up, right? If you
oh
got
sure, but like
pulled
the problem is they
into it.
dropped him, and they were
Yeah.
probably several hundred feet up, so
Yeah.
he probably died on the way down, hitting all the burning branches. Jesus. Okay, yeah, that sucks. Talk about like bad luck days. Like, just what are the fucking odds?
Mhm.
Oh man. Alrighty, well let's go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Huzzah.